On October 25, 1415, during the Hundred-Year War, the English army led by King Henry V defeated a larger French force at the Battle of Agincourt. But why does this battle matter? Well, because it's been glorified in everything from Shakespeare plays to Hollywood movies. But how much of that is actually true? In reality, the English victory at Agincourt was a decisive one, with modern estimates putting the English losses at around 700 men, while the French losses are estimated to be between 4,000 to 6,000 men. So let's take a closer look at how such a small force achieved such a decisive victory. So the 100 Years' War was, as its name suggests, a war that lasted for 100 years between England and France from 1337 to 1453. And like most wars, it was fought over land, power, and money. Now the English kings had long claimed the French throne, and with the French king's weak control over his nobles, they felt now was the time to make their move. By 1415, the English had taken much of northern France, and the French king was looking to take it back. So when the French king Louis VI assembled a massive army of around 30,000 men to take back northern France, he was confident that he would win. The English army, however, was only around a third of the size of the French army. But what the English lacked in numbers, they made up for in skill and strategy. The English army was composed of longbowmen, which were extremely effective at the time. Longbows could shoot arrows that were around twice as heavy as other bows, which meant they could penetrate armor more easily. And these longbowmen were some of the best in the world. The English also had an elite force of soldiers known as yeomen, which were heavily armored and carried long swords and shields. They were the backbone of the English army and were the ones who would break the French lines. The English army also had a group of cavalry, but they weren't as important in this battle as they had been in other battles. This was because the battlefield was a muddy swamp, which made it difficult for horses to move around. The English knew that they were outnumbered, so they chose their battlefield carefully. They set up camp near the town of Agincourt in northern France, where the ground was soft and muddy. This made it difficult for the French, especially their cavalry, to maneuver. The English also set up their longbowmen on the high ground, which gave them a better vantage point over the battlefield. When the French army arrived, they were confident that they would easily defeat the English. The French king Louis VI led the charge with his cavalry, but they soon found out that it was impossible to break through the English lines. The English longbowmen shot volley after volley of arrows into the French, causing massive casualties. The French cavalry was eventually forced to retreat. With their cavalry defeated, the French king regrouped his forces and sent in his infantry to attack the English. Again, the English longbowmen held their ground and shot the French infantry, causing massive casualties. Eventually, the French king ordered a retreat. But by this point, the English had regrouped their cavalry and blocked the French retreat. In the end, the English won a decisive victory, defeating the much larger French army. Now, this wasn't the end of the 100 Years' War, but it was a major turning point. It led to the English conquest of nearly all of France, except for a small area around Paris. The Battle of Agincourt has been glorified in everything from Shakespeare plays to Hollywood movies. But how much of that is actually true? Well, not a lot. What? For one, the English army wasn't as large as it's made out to be. As the English army was smaller than the French army, but it wasn't as small as some people claim. The Battle of Agincourt is a famous battle not only because of its size, but also because of its outcome. The English victory at Agincourt was a major turning point in the 100 Years' War and helped to pave the way for the English conquest of nearly all of France. If you found this interesting or learned something new, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content like this. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.